much, our spokesperson, Mr. Witness Dube, Vice President Dr. Kupe, Vice President Engineer Mzuri, our National Chairman, Senator Komichi, our SG, and the senior leaders who are here. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to this press conference and thank you for coming. I think it was also a short notice. We don't take your coming for granted at all. Yesterday, there was a vote in the Senate regarding Constitution of Zimbabwe Amendment No.2. The position of the MDC was that it was fundamentally opposed to two clauses. The clause dealing with the running mate and the clause dealing with the extension of the terms of office of the judges. But there were other issues as well. There was the issue of the women's quota in the National Assembly, the issue of the women's quota in council, the issue of the youth quota and devolution, and other issues. But these 6 issues were the issues that dominated debate. We are happy with the quality of debate that was displayed by our parliamentarians. The procedures in the National Assembly that came to the view of the public mostly related to the procedure at the voting stage. That is the stage at which the parliamentarians were asked to vote for the bill, for or against the bill. If you vote yes, you are voting yes for everything. If you vote no, you are voting no to everything. And in the previous press conference, we discussed the genuine dilemma that faced our members of parliament in that regard. In the Senate, we had extensive discussions, and on 2 occasions, we were able to stop the proceedings. The MDC senators were very, very clear about their opposition to the amendment of the running mate clause. We think that the amendment to this clause was unnecessary. We also think that this is an amendment that was coming in respect of a clause that have not been put in use. And the minister was talking about the events in Malawi and so on, but was not emphasizing on the success story of the running mate set up for centuries in other countries, the United States of America, for example. And we did suggest during the debate as a compromise that if they were fearing that the vice president may not serve at the pleasure of the president, we could remove that and put in place that the president could appoint his deputies, but designate them as the first vice president and second vice president. Again, this was rejected. The judge's clause, again, our view was that this was an unconstitutional amendment. And this is because the clause that we were very much against was not in the original bill. It was not gazetted in the original bill, but it is a clause that came while the bill was now in the National Assembly. And in terms of the law, when you want a constitutional bill to pass, you have to gazette all of it. You don't have to hide certain aspects of that bill and introduce them at a later stage. So to that extent, we were very, very opposed. Secondly, that clause dealt effectively with amendment of clause 328. Clause 328 says that if there is any need to extend term limits, the person holding that office shall not benefit. So in the issue of judges, if their term has expired and there is need to extend a term of office, then that term of office only benefits their successors. This was meant to disincentivize the temptation of presidents who use their popularity or their numerical advantage in parliament to ask for an extension of their term. And we said in the Constitution that that extension would not benefit them, so there was no incentive. Therefore, we think that the amendment relating to the judges was most unfortunate. Further, there are three broad amendments that have to go via referendum in the Zimbabwean Constitution. The first one is the amendment regarding the Bill of Rights. The second one is the amendment regarding the provisions of land. And the third one is the amendment relating to term limits, section 328. It has to go via referendum. This amendment was not taken via referendum. We made that argument in the Senate, and it is recorded. So the first occasion, the MDC-T was able to force a deadlock, and the parliament was adjourned to the following day. The second time, we asked for division of the House, and we were beaten 19 to 45. It was a beautiful vote. It was a good vote. It was a good display of commitment on the part of the MDC legislators. The third time, which was yesterday, was the voting of the entire bill. Either you vote yes for everything or you vote no to everything. And there you will discover a phenomenon that has characterized the voting in this parliament. Most women legislators voted yes, and this is not difficult to see. They voted yes to the women's clause, the women's quota. And their view is that although this does not generate a 50-50, it represents an incremental gain in women advancement. And they don't want to drop that advantage that they have got. But the women continue to demand 50-50. And I want to say that the fact that this clause did pass does not preclude us from continuing to fight for gender equality in the legislature, for gender equality in the executive, and in all spheres of government. We are for gender equality. But this the women's quota clause is the proverbial half a loaf, and it was better than nothing. This was not a typical amendment where people are whipped, because you are whipping people to vote against their gender. And the second problem is that if you whip people, you have to punish them if they vote otherwise. And that was going to generate a situation, an anomalous situation, where you punish women for voting for women's issues. And we didn't think that that was a good idea at all. And the vote went the way it did. Of course, there were other men, of course, who said they were going to vote for the women's quota and so on. We have come under unfair criticism. The MDC MPs have come under unfair criticism from some sections of civil society and other opposition political parties. As I said, that criticism is unfair. It does not give credit to the exceptional fight that these people did give in the National Assembly during the debating stage. People have ignored that. But I want to say, I want to pay tribute to some people from the civil society who tried to lobby the MDC caucus. We had, I can name him because he's a friend of mine, a namesake. Douglas Mwonzora did try to lobby for us to make sure that this bill is blocked. And this is the spirit that we want. And other members of the civil society as well. Douglas Mwonzora is a lawyer, of course. But we found his inputs very, very constructive and very, very helpful. And those people who are criticizing us, who are outside Parliament, are forgetting that they did the nation a disservice in this issue, on this issue. First of all, this bill was taken for public hearings. Those political parties criticizing us today did not even organize people against this bill during the public hearings. They sat at home on Twitter, on Facebook, and on WhatsApp, churning hate language. They did not, for example, lobby the MDC caucus. They didn't. They concentrated on denigrating MDC-T MPs. They did not even petition Parliament against this bill. This is one of the avenues available to them. They didn't even do that. They did not even organize a demonstration of 10 people against this bill. This is what they could have done. They did not even organize a one-man demonstration like Itai Zamara used to do. May his soul rest in eternal peace. They didn't do anything. They sat on their laurels. They did not even apply for a demonstration. They did not even seek to picket Parliament to show their displeasure of the bill. They concentrated on discussing the bill on Twitter, on social media. And they concentrated on spreading hate and falsehoods on social media. They tried to make cheap political capital out of this very, very serious development in our nation. They sat down, they started blaming other political leaders. They thought that this was an opportunity for cheap propaganda. And they hid their sloth. Some of these people were very slothful. They could have done the things that I am showing you that people outside Parliament could have done, but they chose not to do that. And the MDC-T fought. It went down, but it went down fighting. And we are proud of the MPs of the MDC-T. The denigration that they receive is unfair and unjust. The MDC continues to pursue dialogue as the mainstay of its political strategy. And this dialogue is being pursued in earnest. The main issue, the main reason for this dialogue is to make the lives of the Zimbabwean person for the better. We want to improve the lives of the Zimbabwean people. And therefore, we will be seeking dialogue on such issues as poverty, ending poverty, unemployment, the improvement of the economy, constitution and governance, electoral reforms. In particular, we will spend a lot of time dialoguing on the need to enfranchise Zimbabweans outside the country. We also wish to dialogue on those measures that will remove Zimbabwe's international isolation. What are those things that the Zimbabwean nation must do? We also wish to deal with the issues of how to end corruption, and we are going to spend a lot of time during dialogue on women advancement. Gone are the days where the places of women in society was that of hewers of wood and drawers of water. Women are leaders as well. We want them to play a meaningful role in the political and economic and social affairs of our country. And in this regard, we are motivated by what is happening in Rwanda. If you look at Rwanda, the women's representation there is an example for all in Africa. We still believe that the youths are not leaders of tomorrow. They are leaders of today. And we therefore supported the youth quota. The youth quota is necessary, but not sufficient. We want more youths to be involved in the affairs of the nation. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, the MDC held its extraordinary Congress on the 27th of December 2020, and this was presided over by the Independent Election Management Body. It has produced its report, and it has presented its report to the party, and this report is being discussed. But we are happy that that report is now out, and it does put closure to that issue. So the leadership is right now on a recess, but we are in the middle of a crucial standing committee meeting. The MDC remains committed to constitutionalism, rule of law, human rights, as well as the economic and social advancement of Zimbabwe. We remain fortified in our belief that the issues bedeviling Zimbabwe are solved via dialogue. And we also want to say that we wish that any constitutional amendment that has to come in the future must involve the people. There must be more time spent on dialogue over those constitutional amendments, of consulting the people, and so on. And the political parties, no matter how strong, must listen to one another. And we saw that in some instances we were not happy in the National Assembly, but mostly in the Senate, where our conversation with our colleagues in Zanu PF was a conversation of the deaf, and so on. We want these things to be dealt with in a better way in the future. I wish to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll be happy to field any questions.